In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, it's all about M. Night Shyamalan's Servant on Apple TV+. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
What's up? And welcome to Pop Culture Weekly from iHeartRadio. I'm Kyle McMahon. I'm also Kyle McMahon. I normally do, say something else, so I'm all discombobulated. Happy 2023. I hope that it's been awesome for you. I've been talking to a bunch of you on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, and I really appreciate all of your messages and tweets and comments and all that good stuff. I've been trying to reply to as many as I can, and I love it. So we have some really cool stuff coming up this year, especially in the next month or two. Who knows what that might be? Maybe it's a contest. Maybe it has something to do with, I don't know. Who knows? Who knows what the eras will bring? But in any event, today's episode is all about Servant on Apple TV+. That has been my favorite show on since it came out 4 seasons ago, 2019, and I'm obsessed with it. It is literally one of my top 3 favorite shows ever, up there with The X-Files and Lost, and it is incredible. This season, I got to watch the first few episodes, and it is, oh my God. The first episode is like completely action-packed. The second episode is like reminiscent of, say, Misery from Stephen King. The third episode introduces my two favorite characters so far, Bev and Bobby, and you'll get to them, and we'll get to them. But in any event, it's just so freaking awesome. I went to the premiere in New York the other day, which I'm excited to tell you about. I'll have those interviews out next week. This week, we have the in-studio interviews with the entire cast, including M. Night. Well, M. Night Shyamalan isn't in the cast, but he's the executive producer, and it's, his DNA is all over the show. So, of course, M. Night Shyamalan. We have Toby Kebbell. We have Lauren Ambrose. We have Nell Tiger Free. Sadly, Rupert Grint had a family emergency, so we will not be hearing from him today. However, I did talk to him on the red carpet, and I did talk to him at the premiere, so that my interview with Rupert will be out in next week's episode. So let's just get into it. I am so obsessed with the show, and season 4, it is the final season. Way back when at New York Comic-Con, they were talking, I believe they thought it would be 6 seasons, 60 episodes, or 7 seasons, something like that. Very quickly, though, in season 1, they realized, you know what? Let's make it tight. Let's make every second count. And let's do 4 seasons, 40 episodes. And I think they made the right decision. As much as I would love to live in this world of Servant, forever and ever, when the story naturally comes to an end, the story naturally comes to an end. So, don't force it and have it go on and on forever, and that's exactly what they're not doing. So as tough as it is for me to say, the end is coming, it is the right decision so it doesn't, ruin this incredibly perfect show that they have all made. So let's get right into the interviews, okay? We're just going to start right now with the cast of Servant. Lauren Ambrose, Toby Kebbell, Nell Tiger Free. Let's go. Thank you all so much. I'm so happy to talk to all 3 of you. Once again, I'm sad that this will be the last time together for Servant that, we'll be speaking. But I want to congratulate you all on season 4. I watched the first 3 episodes and it is absolutely incredible. One of my favorite shows of all time. And season 4 has just cemented that.
Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Of course. And all of you have, built these characters and made me, want to live in some instances in this world. Not in many, but it's just this world building, which is incredible for me because it mostly takes place in the house. For you as actors, how is it, to come to the end of this now with this 4th and final season?
It's a mix of emotions. It was stressful going in, thinking, oh man, how are we going to do this? And this can't really be the end. And we'd love to do a little bit more. And then, the kind of sadness at leaving everything. And then so actually a sense of relief to complete something, to answer the questions that we've all felt and hopefully the fans have been wondering about. So yeah. I mean, a true mix of emotion.
And how about for you, Nell?
Yeah, it was very bittersweet. I mean, at one point, on one hand, I was really proud of all of us and what we'd accomplished together and what we had created. And then there was this part of just deep sadness of saying goodbye. I'm very bad with goodbyes, full stop. And so saying goodbye to these people who've been my family for the past sort of 5 years was heart-wrenching for me. I mean, when they said cut on the final take, I was just in pieces. Poor Rupert was having to act opposite me. He was on camera and I was off camera for him, and I was just streaming tears. And I kept going, sorry, Ru, I'm sorry. He was like, it's fine. And then the 4 of us had this group hug, which is one of my favorite moments of my entire life. It was like we just hugged each other and we were like, we did it. We did the thing. And Lauren gave us all these rings that we all wear, and I still wear them. Which is beautiful. Yeah, no, I'm gonna cry. So move on.
And how about for you, Lauren?
Oh, obviously it's awful to have to know that we're not gonna go be together with these people who we've spent such an intense 4 years, including living and working in a bubble multiple times in order to make the show. I mean, it's a very intense couple years here for the entire world, but to be making a show in that was some unique challenges. God, I keep dreaming about the set. Actually, I keep thinking about it. I wake up and I think, oh gosh, they're probably sticking a forklift into it right now and pulling it apart, and and I know they were having a sale of some of the stuff from the set, and I thought, oh my god. So that's been driving me nuts because so much of that is the set, the clothes, everything. That's who the character is and who all of our characters are. So it is a wild thing to. Well, I guess it's what we all do with everything, but we just have to do it over and over again as actors.
I actually think I'm going to go to the sale on, I think it starts tomorrow. I actually really do, because I'm I feel like, and just as a viewer, I'm I've kind of been attached to this world for 4 years. And I'm I want to go,
what do you want to get? What do you want to get?
I don't know, anything.
Chandelier?
Rupert's coat, one of you, something cool. Yeah, you know what I mean? Something awesome. I don't know. Something uniquely Servant, and I'm excited. So, but for you, from my understanding, it was mostly filmed in order, which is, a bit atypical. How is that for you guys as, not just actors, but as people, to come to that story in chronological order rather than, a typical filming setup? And Lauren, I'll start with you, just going backwards.
Yeah, there were seasons where sometimes there were times where we would get all of the scripts, and that was pretty amazing. to say, okay, this is what we're doing, and look at it as a play, and look at the arc of where we were headed. Often in TV, things are happening so fast, and people think things are still being written while they're being filmed. And so we got to, a lot of the time, do have a sort of more global view of it. And that was that's very respectful of the all of the creative people, because people can craft things in a more long looking way. And so that was great. I always like that.
And for you, Nell?
Yeah, I mean, working chronologically is so helpful. It's just so helpful. I mean, it's kind of disarming when you're walking in and you're doing one scene, and then 20 minutes later you're doing a scene from that's supposed to be 3 weeks in the future. I mean, it can just sort of throw you out of whack, and it's difficult to jump around and keep it linear and keep it natural, which is something that's difficult, like on feature films where everything is out of order. But with this show, and we had so much content and we had so much time to do it, and everything as much as we possibly could, it really, and because we had the house and that was our main set and that's where we were and we built it so we could do what we wanted with it, that really lent itself to us being able to take our time and go step by step and sort of let the natural progression. When we first did season 1, episode 1, we were all practically strangers. We didn't know each other very well, and that was so helpful for my character, because I was sort of getting to know Lauren and Toby and Rupert as Leanne was. And then by season 4, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm used to this lot, because they're like family. And it's just that natural progression is really useful. It really is a gift. There you go.
Awesome. and Toby?
Yeah, I mean, look, energetically, it's very useful. You go through the process, you go through the emotion in the right order. It's also useful if there's a rain scene. I mean, just the very simple practicality of something. If there's a rain scene and you're inside coming out of a storm and you're not quite as wet as you get in the take of you being out in the rain, it's just always useful to have done it in the right order. Chronologically is, it's how you read a book. It's how you read a recipe. It's useful.
Well, and it comes off in the show, rewarding for the viewer. Thank you all so much. I can't wait for everybody to see season 4 of Serving.
Thank you so much.
I'm so freaking obsessed with the show. You know that. I love this show. It is, oh my God, I just can't stop raving about it. It is... You just know when you connect with a show like that, and you just really fall in love with the characters and the writing and everything, the cinematography, the direction, the location, just everything about this I've just fallen in love with. It's such a good show. So let's get into my interview with the one and only M. Night Shyamalan. Hey, Night, great to talk to you again about one of my favorite shows ever.
Good to see you again, man.
So, first of all, congratulations on season 4, 4th and final season. What is it like for you to be able to know that you're able to tell the story in a way that is final? You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is, you knew going in that you had an outline for a certain amount of shows and you were able to do that. Does that help? Now that you're at the end of it, looking back, does that help you, or do you prefer that?
Yeah, I mean, that was I think the most important thing that I wanted everyone to understand is that we were going to have an ending, and we were going to aim towards that ending. If we were lucky enough to get to this place where we're allowed to tell the story, we're going to finish. And, we are in that wonderful, place where the audience is the largest it's ever been. Apple's really excited, and our cast and crew is really healthy, and we could go on. But that's not the reason to go on. The story tells us what to do. And so I'm very, very happy that we're where we want to look. Am I feeling like I'm a little bit crazy? Yeah, I do feel like I'm a little bit crazy for stopping this. But And maybe one day I'll be like, why didn't I do just 2 more seasons or something, you know? But I just let the story tell me where it wanted to end, and so this was effortless to do this. So I don't want it to turn into, jamming or, making up reasons to keep going.
Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons that I adore Servant so much is every episode is forward. It's never it's never something where you're just kind of scuttled as a viewer. It's all so jam-packed with story and information and symbolism that there is no filler. And it's so rewarding as somebody watching that story. And
Thank you so much. That's so sweet. When I watch a TV show, I get hit when an episode didn't earn its place in the story, and when it finishes, I'm hurt. And my wife or my kids who watch lots of shows, they just keep going, right? And I'm devastated. They can see my head go down, and I'm going, I don't know if I can go on with this show because that episode, but I know that maybe they'll find their way in the episodes 2 or 3, but I didn't want that for us. I did want 40 episodes where we're so proud of them as achievements in and of themselves, and they were indispensable.
I totally agree with you, and I love that. And as a viewer, it's like I feel the same way. It's like I want to continue to live with these people, but I also appreciate that you haven't made me want to not live with these people anymore, if you know what I mean. And it's the series and you and the whole team has done such a great job of world building, which I find especially interesting because most of the story takes place in this house. It's so richly layered with people like, Bev and Bobby. I absolutely love them. And I feel like, I feel like it could be like a servant universe where they just appear at, various things. I love them so much, but they're a great example of why, I just fell in love with them the second they came on the screen. And, the entire creative team has done such a great job with giving everybody just a whole history within seconds, if you know what I mean, as a viewer. And that's so appreciated for me. What's it like for you, being, the head of all of this, to be able to work with such an incredible team, from actors to writers to, set dressers and everything?
I'll come with, let's say, a kind of an inspiration and tell the team, hey, I want to have these arsenic and old lace characters, these kind of old ladies that you're not sure where they're coming from, and their humor is inappropriate, and what are they up to? I want these kind of characters, like in a Hitchcock movie where, he'll have like a dinner party, like Strangers on a Train, and go to the dinner party, and there's these older ladies, and he's like, well, how would you murder someone? And they were like, hey, I would burn them. And they giggle, and you're just loving these old ladies that are getting like evil. And I wanted those kind of characters. And I'd say to the writers and the directors, these are my cinematic influences. Then they get inspired by that and say, hey, how about she did this? Or how about she did this? And I'll be like, that's amazing. That's a great idea. Let's have that moment happen. That would be so crazy and spooky.
I love it. Thank you so much. I realized as I was watching, the first 3 episodes of season 4 last night, that I regret that we didn't reach out to your people to have me, because I could have been an amazing homeless guy, especially a passed out homeless guy in the encampment. I was rehearsing and all for you. So, but anyway, thank you.
I DM'd your inbox. You never got back to me. I saw the same thing in you. I was like, this is it.
Especially if it's drunk, I would have killed it. But thank you so much, Knight, for speaking with me. Servant season 4. I can't wait for everybody to see this.
Take care.
Love Knight. I call him that now, Knight. We're on a nickname basis now. My interview with Knight. This is, I believe, my 3rd or 4th interview with him. He is one of my favorite directors ever. He is a legendary director, and there is not any film, any project that he's done that I haven't absolutely loved. From his big breakthrough, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Signs, The Village, Lady in the Water, The Happening, even The Last Airbender, which wasn't an original IP by, Knight. And then After Earth, The Visit, Split, Glass, Old, and soon to be Knock at the Cabin, as well as Servant. So anyway, I love Knight. Love M. Night Shyamalan, love Servant, love Apple TV+. Go and check out my review of Servant on the website, popcultureweekly.com. You can check out the review of that, see the red carpet footage. And next week, I'll have my interviews with the cast and M. Night himself from the premiere in New York City. I also have a very special guest next week. You may know him as Jason Segel. He's in this new series on Apple TV Plus called Shrinking, which is so good. So we're going to talk all about that with Jason next week. So anyway, that's next week. All right, I will see you next week. Hit me up. Go to the website, popcultureweekly.com, and you can get all the latest information there. And, of course, on Twitter, please give the show a follow on, wherever you listen to your podcast, if you haven't yet. And please review it, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts. Giving a review there really, really helps discovery, helps the show get out there, and I will continue to love you for it and continue to randomly give out prizes if you do. So, all right, I love you. I'll see you next week. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
I'm combining a cappella with my favorite show, Servant. I wonder what'll happen to Jericho. Jericho is Nell a crazy witch, or is she just a sexy bee? We'll find out. Yes, we will. On Servant, we'll find out. Yes, we will. On Servant, streaming on Apple TV Plus.